Hello everyone and welcome back to Retro Tech HQ. Now at the end of part 2 our Commodore 64 looked like this. We'd given it a thorough clean and had repaired its broken keyboard, so functionally it now works 100%. But there's still a couple of small jobs we need to do to ensure that our 30+ year old computer keeps working for many years to come. Now if you'd rather not watch these last few maintenance bits and would prefer to jump to the reveal of our finished fully assembled Commodore 64, you can do by clicking on the timestamps in the description below. Equally, at the end of this video we'll be playing some of the games that you suggested, so make sure you stick around for that. So with that said, let's crack on with the last couple of jobs. First up, we need to replace this machine's 30+year-old capacitors. There's no signs of any bulging or leaking from these capacitors, but for the sake of a few pound and to future-proof this machine, we may as well do this now whilst it's in pieces. And something that did surprise me was just how few capacitors there are on this Commodore 64. There's 6 in total. If you've ever worked on a ZX Spectrum, you'll know why I was so surprised. There's the 3 big capacitors grouped together on the right side of the motherboard, plus a number of smaller, lower rated capacitors over to the left. Now whenever I'm replacing capacitors, I avoid the cheaper unbranded stuff that's available on eBay and will instead opt for a well-known good quality brand like Panasonic or these Vishay ones. By paying a little bit extra, you've got peace of mind that you're fitting quality parts that will last many years, and we haven't done all this work to go cheap and cut corners at the final hurdle. I also like using one of these circuit board holders when doing a job like this. It makes getting to both sides of the circuit board a bit easier. I'll put a link to the one I'm using in the description below. I'm not going to make you watch me desolder all of the old capacitors and then solder in the new ones. So instead, let's jump ahead to after all of the new capacitors have been fitted. That's better. Out with the old, in with the new, which leaves us with just one last job to do before we're ready to reassemble and reveal our finished Commodore 64. And that last job is adding heat sinks to the 4 chips that tend to run hotter and are often the first to fail. But before we can do that, we'll first need to clean up the old white thermal paste that's definitely well past its sell by date. To do that, I'm using an alcohol soaked swab, and with a bit of elbow grease, the old thermal paste actually came off easier than I was expecting. Now to fit the new heat sinks. And with both the new capacitors and heat sinks fitted, our work here is done and our Commodore 64 is ready for its big reveal. But before we do that, I just want to say that this little machine has been a pleasure to work on. It was an absolute mess at the start of this project, but I've been genuinely surprised to find a great little machine under all the muck and grime. But enough talking, it's time to reveal the finished product. As you can see, this little Commodore 64 now looks absolutely fantastic. You'd never know that it's 30+ years old, a testament to the quality of the machines Commodore were producing back in the 80s. And so there's just one thing left to do. Let's play some games. And to do that, we'll be using one of these SD to IEC SD card adapters. This essentially plugs into the back of the Commodore 64 and emulates a disk drive, so we don't have to wait for tapes to load. And whilst tape loading is nostalgic, it's far too slow when you've got lots of games to play. And to fully capture that 80s magic, I've plugged our Commodore 64 into this Sony Trinitron CRT. But before we get to the game clips, I just want to apologise in advance for the quality of the following clips. Filming a CRT is far harder than I'd realised.